I don't remember where I saw it. I saw it somewhere on the internet. It might have been Instagram. I'm not sure. But I saw this really beautiful idea by a beautiful individual. I'll try to find who it was. But they were given an idea of how, well, I'm sure she wasn't the first person. I'm sure this is an old technique. But anyways, think about flipping a pancake or a tortilla, okay? So we have our hands like this, and we just flip it over, and we let our hands flop over on the drum, okay? That motion from here to here is what you need. Now, obviously, you're not going to play like this. You're not flipping a bunch of tortillas here, okay? It's not effective or efficient. Not efficient, rather. But to get the idea when you're first starting, this will work. This will help you, hopefully. So think about that motion right there. Hey, what's happening, everyone? William Johnson here. This is another percussion tutorial. I'm not exactly sure why I keep saying this is another percussion tutorial, because obviously you know that because you saw the title. So I apologize for doing that all of these years. Was it branding or just, I don't know what it was. It was just something that I was doing, being consistent. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. I've already wasted too much of your time. Anyways, you may have noticed this shirt. I spoke about it before. Link in the description below if you like this shirt. It can be yours. So yeah, check out the link. Let me know. There's two different kinds, crew neck, V-neck, and you can have your Conga shirt, and it'll probably look better on you than it does on me. Slap tone. I've got a few requests, and I've been going back to some basics here. And all of this, honestly, is a part of an online course that I am working on that will be available here on YouTube via a link that you can go to download this online course. I'll let you know more about that as the details emerge. So that'll be on my website at williamjohnsonmusic.com, but a link also here on YouTube on the various videos. All right, slap. You have different types of slaps. You have open slaps, you have closed slaps. An open slap, when we say that, basically what that means is one hand is you doing the slap, either hand, and nothing is obstructing the sound. You're allowing the drum to resonate. Open tone, slap, open, slap, open, slap. Okay? So you hear some of that tone that's coming in the drum. Open tone, tone, slap. All right, but you can still hear wherever the drum is tuned, you can still hear that tone within the sharp punctuation, the note, the slap. All right. Now, when we say open slap, okay, it is an open slap, but depending on where you place your hands is going to change the sound of the slap. Same thing with the closed slap. Now, a closed slap, and I'm going to go into detail on what my hands are doing and the fine motor movement and all of that, and giving you some tips and ideas for those of you that are beginning and trying to get a good slap. But when we do a closed slap, basically what we're saying here is that another hand is closing the drum, or we're not allowing it to resonate. Okay, I'm going to add a caveat to this in a moment because you don't have to use the other hand. All right, so you have one hand on the drum. The other hand comes down and does that sharp note, the slap, all right? Now, when we're doing a closed note or closed slap, the amount of pressure that we place on the drum changes the tone of the slap. So if I only put a little bit of my hand on the drum, I allow some of the tone to come forth. If I put more of my hand on the drum, it becomes drier. If I add pressure on the drum, it changes the sound. If I place my hand a little bit closer, this hand that's closing the drum, a little closer to the hand that's doing the slap, it changes the sound. Farther away towards the rim, I allow a little more tone. It's not as dry. What I mean by dry is it is just the sharpness. There's no tone. There's no overtones. There's nothing else that's ringing through the room or the environment that you're in, right? Okay, I hit my thumb there. So we want to, depending on the size of the drum and the makeup of the drum and the size of your hands and all that, we want to experiment with that, okay? So getting a good slap tone. Slap tone is one of the hardest tones to develop at first, all right? But there's some things that you can do that can help, okay? Now, I'm just going to focus on two basic slap tones. It's not just one or two ways to get a slap. There's many different variations of sound that you can get out of this instrument, all right? But if we're doing this open slap, basically what's happening is about the middle of my palm is coming down and meeting the rim of the drum, okay? So I'm coming down and I'm doing this in the drum set world. We call this, it's a whipping motion called a molar technique, okay? We've got this kind of relaxed motion. So it's a little bit of the arm at the elbow, okay? Not arm like this, but arm at the elbow here, all right? It's a little bit of that and a lot of wrist there. But we can achieve this with just the wrist and a little bit of arm. All right? Now, first few notes there were no bueno, but that's what happens when you're doing a number of things at the same time. Okay, so we use a little bit of all of this technique, but the idea is to keep everything relaxed, all right? I don't remember where I saw it. I saw it somewhere on the internet. It might have been Instagram. I'm not sure. But I saw this really beautiful idea by a beautiful individual. I'll try to find who it was. But they were given an idea of how, well, I'm sure she wasn't the first person. I'm sure this is an old technique. But anyways, think about flipping a pancake or a tortilla, okay? So we have our hands like this, and we just flip it over, and we let our hands flop over on the drum, okay? That motion from here to here is what you need. Now, obviously, you're not going to play like this. You're not flipping a bunch of tortillas here, okay? It's not effective or efficient. Not efficient, rather. But to get the idea when you're first starting, this will work. This will help you, hopefully. So think about that motion right there, okay? And we're just allowing the hand to come down, and that rim stops it. That doesn't mean I'm hitting the rim. It just means I'm coming down and boom. Now, when I come down, I put just enough tension on my hands here, the backside of my hand, to stop my hands from just doing nothing, okay? So I'm keeping kind of straight. Now, some people talk about a cup, you know, cupping your hands a little bit, adding a little bit, and I've done this too, where you can fit maybe like a pinky or a pen underneath there, and that allows you to get that you know, the real pop sound, okay? You notice just then there was a few different sounds of a slap there. But depending on how much I cup my hand, I can get that slap. That's great when we're starting out. But we want to be able to play flat-handed. Because the faster we go and the more drums that we play and the more notes that we play and the rhythms or whatnot, we want to be able to do less, more with less, increasing our efficiency. So we want to be able to learn how to be relaxed and to play flat-handed, not doing too much of this cupping motion here. Now, the idea of a slap is the outside of these fingers. That's the majority of what's slapping, okay? You might even see some artists, some musicians, they almost have not playing with their index finger. It's just these three fingers. Now, I don't necessarily advocate for you to start doing this, but what I am saying is that this outside tip of the hand is what's doing the slap. You want less of this flesh, less of the flesh, that rhymes there. You want less, I'm a dad. Can you tell there's going to be lots of, you know, like, okay, never mind. I won't follow that rabbit trail. So my producer's here probably laughing at me right now. So anyhow, you have this less of the flesh of your hand, okay, hitting the drum. Think of a towel, and when you roll it up, and then you, whoosh, hopefully you're not whipping anyone in the locker room. But think about when you do that, and you go like this, and at the end of the towel or a belt, it's like, whoosh, you get that whip, right? That sharpness of the end of the whip that can cause all of that pain. Well, it's just a very small amount of that material that's hitting the target. If I have too much of my hand and the flesh and the meat of my hand going into the drum, I'm going to get more thud than actual attack or sharpness. I'm trying not to have thud. I'm trying not to have bass or lower tones. I'm trying to have sharper, higher pitch, thinner sounds with the slap. That's the whole idea. So this right here is what's happening. Let me see if it'll focus on my hand right there. So this right here is what's happening, okay? Now, we still use our whole hand, but that's the majority of what's happening, okay? Now, watch closely on my hands here. I'll play a couple open notes, and you'll notice my hands change ever so slightly when I go from the open to the slap. Okay, so just ever so slightly, I'm the fingertips with the fingernails, the top part of my hand is pointing down just a teeny bit. It's not doing that straight and almost out a little bit of the open note to get that full open sound. It's coming down just a tiny bit, and it's like that tortilla I mentioned. So we're here as opposed to here. Okay, I can still get a slap. That wasn't a slap, but I can still get a slap if when I come down here and the tips are now doing that. But so the more I work and practice that, the straighter I'll be able to keep my hand and slap. But you don't have to worry about that for right now. The idea is that the fingernails, the top of the hand, is coming down and pointing down a little bit more than doing this. If you're doing a lot of this, trying to get a slap, and you're having a hard time, what might be happening is there's just too much meat of your hand going into the drum, and you're not going to get a sharp punctuation, a sharp punctuated sound there. All right, so recap real quick what we've just spoken about. Center of the palm, around the rim, depending on the size of your drum and your hands, but your hands meet just like this when we talked the way we talked about the open tone. Top of the hand comes down just a little bit. It's like flipping a tortilla. Okay, if we're doing a closed tone, we can place one hand on the drum and we can come down, and we're trying to get, you notice I let my fingers come down a little bit. All right, and I'm trying to get a sharp note. When you're first getting this achieved, or trying to achieve this, the main thing is that it just doesn't sound like this. Okay, you want it to sound different than this. You want it to sound different than this. Bass, open. You want the slap to be I was going to say lighter. It's not necessarily lighter. You want the slap to be a sharper, thinner sound. Okay? That's what you want to focus on. And then as long as all of the sounds sound distinct, you can work on your tone through time. All right? Okay, and it's something to work on. You'll notice even every now and then I might hit a note and then it might be off, right? Well, especially if I'm presenting or doing something like this. Okay, so, okay, you can add a little bit of tension. Don't go crazy. It's not from here. It's from right here. Notice how that just changed the sound? All right, depending on the amount of tension, okay? Open slap, right there. It's right in here, okay? The open slap is a little more difficult because there's a lot of fine motor controls happening there. But it's all of this. The main thing, you're just letting your hand come down and stick almost like fly paper. You add just enough tension at the end to keep your hand from bouncing up. It's not hot potato like an open tone. It's fly paper, tortilla, okay? That being said, last thing. I mentioned you don't have to have your other hand on the drum to do a closed slap. There's another slap, all right? So the basic slaps is it's open, that's an open tone, open slap, and closed slap, okay? It's a little more dry. The next one is where we use like a palm slap, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let my hand come down like I'm doing a bass, but it rolls forward, and I just like that towel whip. It's going all down here like this, and then when it gets to the very end of the belt or the towel, crack, right? Well, my hand comes like this, up, My palm is not over here. It's not center of the palm to the rim. My actual palm right here is not at the center of the drum, but up into the drum. You see that? And it comes down, and I splat it's like swatting a fly. My producer here is telling me that it's the front wrist. Okay, so front wrist. What do you mean by front wrist? Okay, well, you've got your wrist here, right? And you have your palm, okay? So basically what's happening is, it's just like, you know, if you had a fly swatter and you ever splat right on the ground, I was gonna say the ground, the table, whatever it is. The first thing that hits the ground a lot of time, or the table, is the very bottom, like my wrist here, of that fly swatter, right? Well, not dramatically, but it's kind of happening, right? So you got this motion here, and then it sticks to the drum. See that? It's a different kind of slap. This is great when we're playing one-handed, and let's say we have other drums, and we're going to boom, boom. Okay? This is another form of slap, another style. It's really, it is important if we want to swing or have a funkiness in our tumbao or marcha, the basic. All right? I don't like what I just played there, but the idea here is, and then when we do that second slap, 1 and 2 and 3, and I'm basically doing that. I'm coming back a little bit, and I'm palm, right? Not on my wrist here, but the palm, and letting the fingers come straight down. See that? You have to work on getting it from there. The idea is let this arm come down a little bit and whip, and then come down here. See that? Okay? Okay? So those are 3 different types of slaps. I know I spoke a whole lot. This video went a little bit longer. It could go really long when we talk about this. This is one of the more technical, well, it's all technical, but this is one of the more complex things in learning in the basics, and when it comes to playing the conga, is the slap. It's one of the harder tones to get. But you could take all of these tips, hopefully they help, and start practicing and try to apply them to, I was going to say try to apply them to your playing. I think I'll do another video, a couple other videos just on the slap, so that we can kind of go through this a little bit more. But let me know if anything that I said today, any of these ideas, this articulation with the hands, have helped. We're just scratching the surface when it comes to this slap. We've talked about 3 different slaps: open slap, closed slap, and that palm bass slap there. Okay? All right. It's not... All right, cool. Hopefully this helped out. Let me know in the comments. All right? Thank you, everybody, for watching. God bless you. I love you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you, and I'll see you soon.